Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss RTCs from MEG 15, that is Comparative Literature Theory and Practice. Here, first of all, I am starting with Kabir Ji's Doha, and whenever you attempt any RTC in exam, first of all begin your answer by giving an introduction. So here I am giving Kabir Ji's introduction. He was a 15th century Indian mystic, poet and saint. His writing influenced the Bhakti movement. He emphasized importance of personal devotion to God, and he used to compose dohas, and this is a type of style in which he used to compose his verses. So doha is a style with which he is able to compose his verse. It is a sort of form. He combined Sufism and Bhakti elements in his dohas. So that makes his dohas unique from other poetic verses. Am reading verses composed by Kabirji, and side by side I am going to explain you meaning of each particular line. And also it is very important for you to know that Kabirji's verses deals with themes of spirituality and talks about human condition and the search for a deeper understanding of the self and the divine. He tried to express a profound sense of disillusionment and existential crisis, and we see that there is a feeling of estrangement, means separation from worldly affairs, and despair in his verses. So here I am beginning. He says that I am not skilled in book knowledge. So he laments his lack of scholarly knowledge, and then he says, nor do I understand controversy. This means he tried to reflect his inability to comprehend the conflicts and debates that permeate in religious discourse. Then I have grown mad reciting and hearing God's praises. It means the mention of growing mad reciting and hearing God praises underscores the burden that the speaker feels from the relentless repetitions of performing religious rituals and keeping enthusiasm in performing these rituals. And also, it seems to suggest a weariness and a sense of futility in the ritualistic practices that are meant to bring spiritual fulfillment. Oh, Father, here he is saying to God, I am mad. The whole world is saying I am mad. So he, by saying all these things to God, he's expressing his own descent into madness amidst sane world, which reveals a deep sense of isolation and an acute awareness of his own inner turmoil. I am ruined. Let not others be ruined likewise. So here he is acknowledging of being ruined and plea to spare others from the same fate, which conveys a sense of empathy and a desire to shield others from the suffering that the speaker is experiencing. I am not grown of mine own will. God hath made me mad. So this particular line, through this line, he is accepting fate that is beyond his own control, and by telling this he is attributing his state of mind to a divine will. So here with this stanza we come to notice that Kabir Ji's doha provides a profound sense of inner turmoil and spiritual longing. It highlights the struggles of a speaker who feels adrift and alienated, grappling with a sense of inadequacy and disillusionment within the context of religious practices and societal norms. This particular doha prompts reflection on the complexities of human emotions and the quest for meaning, as well as the role of divine agency in shaping one's state of being. And this particular verse serves as a powerful expression of the universal human experience of grappling with faith, doubt, and the search for inner peace. Another sort of verse composed by Kabir Ji. Here in this particular verse, he delves into the idea of finding spiritual enlightenment through the guidance of a true guru. What he says here, oh brother, when I was forgetful, my true guru showed me the way. So here he reflects, means Kabir Ji reflect on a time when he is completely forgetful and unaware about true guru, and he wants guidance of a true guru to lead him to right path. And this divine intervention led him to abandon the traditional religious rites and ceremonies, as well as the superficial act of bathing in holy water. And then Kabirji come to a realization that true spirituality surpasses external rituals and is discovered through inner awareness and guidance from a genuine spiritual mentor. And also, then I left off all rites and ceremonies. I bathed no more in the holy water. In these particular lines, Kabirji strives to convey the message that genuine spirituality is not confined to rituals or external appearances, but is a deeply personal and transformative journey towards enlightenment. This reference to true guru is significant in emphasizing the importance of a spiritual guide who can help an individual navigate their inner journey. And this guru serves as a beacon of wisdom, leading the seeker away from mere ritualistic practices towards a deeper understanding of spiritual truths. And also, this act of bathing no more in the holy water can be interpreted as a metaphor for letting go of superficial external rituals in favor of pursuing a more profound connection with spirituality. So, Kabirji's renunciation of such practices signifies a shift in focus from outward symbols of religious devotion to an inward contemplative approach to spirituality. Another stanza which reads like, "Then I learned that it was I alone who was mad, and the whole world beside me was sane, and I had disturbed these wise people. From that time forth, I knew no more how to roll in the dust in obedience." So these lines reflects a kind of transformative realization regarding his own state of means, Kabirji's own state of mind and perception of world which is surrounded around him. And Kabirji here is doing a kind of contemplation, and in this contemplation he reveals a pivotal movement of self-awareness and understanding which leads to a shift in his perspective. These lines, "Then I learned that it was I alone who was mad and the whole world beside me was sane." This line portrays that Kabirji's recognition of a profound truth, and this is a sort of realization which represents a turning point in the Kabir's understanding of himself and his place in the world. And it too suggests that the speaker has come to acknowledge his own delusions and misunderstandings while recognizing the clarity and wisdom of others around him. Then he says that I had disturbed these wise people, which further emphasizes the speaker's means Kabirji's newfound comprehension. It indicates a sense of regret or realization of having disrupted the harmony and wisdom of others due to his own lack of understanding, which again suggests that the speaker's previous actions may have caused discord or misunderstanding, and this insight prompts a significant shift in his behavior and attitude. Then he says that from that time I knew no more how to roll in the dust in obedience. So this particular thing symbolizes a symbolic departure from subservience and outward displays of deference, which signifies the speaker's rejection of superficial or insincere gestures of reverence. It suggests a rejection of false humility and a newfound commitment to authenticity and truth, both in relationship with others and in spiritual practice. So in this particular stanza here, he come up to terms with his own misconceptions and its impact on others because of him, which leads to an internal shift in his behavior and attitude. This particular Kabirji's verse resonates with the universal theme of self-awareness and the recognition of one's own fallibility, which leads to a deeper understanding of the world and one's place within it. And in these particular lines, he tried to highlight the importance of self awareness, humility, and genuine understanding in one's spiritual and personal journey. And here, Kabirji acknowledges of his own follies and its impact on other people, which signifies a crucial moment of growth and awakening. This introspective reflection serves as a timeless reminder of the value of self awareness, empathy, and authenticity in interactions with the world around him. Another verse. I do not ring the temple bell. I do not set the idol on its throne. I do not worship the image with flowers. It is not the austerities that mortify the flesh which are pleasing to the Lord. Kabir ji here expresses a rejection of traditional religious rituals and external displays of devotion. It reflects Kabir ji's perspective on the essence of true spirituality and the principles that guide genuine religious practice. So here, I do not ring the temple bell signifies Kabirji's renunciation of conventional religious rituals such as ringing of bells, which is often associated with invoking the divine during worship. This suggests a departure from outward symbols of religious adherence in favor of a more introspective and genuine form of spirituality. Then he says, I do not set the idol on its throne, which emphasizes the speaker's rejection of idol worship and the physical representation of the divine. Kabirji's verse challenges the notion of confining the divine to a physical object or form, urging a deeper, more abstract connection with spirituality. And then he says, I do not worship the image with flowers, which again emphasizes the speaker's refusal to engage in traditional acts of devotion such as offering flowers to religious images. This rejection underscores Kabir's stance against superficial or materialistic expressions of worship, advocating for a more profound and authentic connection with spiritual truths. Then he says, it is not the austerities that mortify the flesh which are pleasing to the Lord. So here he highlights, means Kabir ji here is doing a kind of skepticism towards aesthetic practices that invoke physical self mortification. This statement challenges the idea that harsh austerities or extreme physical disciplines are not considered as path to divine approval, and he offers a counter narrative that spiritual fulfillment cannot be achieved through mere physical suffering. So what means Kabirji is telling us with these lines that he is encouraging readers to reject all sort of external ceremonies like idol worship and aesthetic practices which are considered by them as the means to connect with the divine. It underscores a deeper message that authentic spirituality transcends external rituals and superficial displays of devotion, and here he advocates for a more profound, introspective and sincere form of spiritual connection that focuses on inner awareness and genuine understanding. Stanza is, when you leave off your clothes and kill your senses, you do not please the Lord. The man who is kind and who practices righteousness, who remains passive amidst the affairs of the world, who considers all creatures on earth as his own self. So here Kabirji emphasizes the importance of inner virtues and ethical conduct as opposed to outward acts of extreme austerity or sensory deprivation. It conveys Sant Kabir's spiritual philosophy, which emphasizes compassion, righteousness, and a harmonious relationship with the world and oneself. So here in these lines, when you leave off your clothes and kill your senses, you do not please the Lord. This particular line reflects Kabirji's reflection, or he is totally reflecting about rejection of extreme aesthetic practices that involve physical self-mortification or sensory deprivation. Instead, he suggests that such extreme measures are not the path to divine favor. This line also underscores the idea that spiritual enlightenment is not achieved through extreme physical disciplines, but rather through inner virtues and ethical conduct. Then he says, the man who is kind and who practices righteousness, who remains passive amidst the affairs of the world, who considers all creatures on earth as his own self, highlights Kabir's emphasis on moral conduct, kindness, and a compassionate outlook towards all living beings. This statement reflects Kabirji's views that genuine spirituality is rooted in ethical behavior, empathy, and a sense of interconnectedness with all living creatures. And then he says that he attains the immortal being, the true God is ever with him. Through this particular line, he suggests that the individual who embodies kindness, righteousness, and a sense of unity with all creation is aligned with the divine. Kabir ji here conveys the idea that a person who embraces these virtues will experience a profound connection with the transcendent and divine essence. Then Kabir says, he attains the true name whose words are pure and who is free from pride and conceit. Again emphasizes the significance of purity in speech and humility as essential qualities for spiritual attainment. This highlights Kabirji's emphasis on inner purity, sincerity, and humility as essential traits for those seeking spiritual enlightenment. So, through all these lines, he tried to convey, or he convey his emphasis on the primacy of inner virtues, ethical conduct, and a compassionate outlook towards all living beings, which serves as the true path to spiritual realization. And Kabirji's spiritual philosophy urges individuals to embody kindness, righteousness, and a sense of unity with all living creatures, emphasizing that these qualities led to a profound connection with the divine. It also tells Kabirji's rejection of extreme aestheticism and also sensory deprivation as the means to please the divine. Instead, he advocates for a life which is rooted in compassionate living and ethical behavior. And Kabirji's timeless wisdom serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring value of inner virtues and genuine moral conduct in the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. Video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.